Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been a while. In today's video, we will be working a Thursday lunch shift on DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub. I already received my first offer on DoorDash for $10.50, which is a great way to start the day. There's a $2 peak pay happening in my market, so I'm still hoping there is a possibility of a hidden tip as well. I cannot believe it is November already. I want to wish a happy birthday month to all my Scorpios who celebrate the first part of the month and any Sagittarius who round out the end of the month. Please let me know in the comments below if you'll be celebrating a birthday this month. Will you be rocking anything with your birthstone of topaz? It is said to have calming energies while also bringing fortune and warmth to the wearer. If that's the case, sign me up for a topaz outfit from head to toe. I am back down in the Champaign-Urbana market. My friends down here sold their home, moved into a new home, and so I've been down here helping them. It's felt really good to be very physical, moving everything out of an old home into a new home, up and down the U-Haul. So I've liked the change of pace, being physical rather than sitting in a car. So been a couple days since I have worked the apps because my main priority was helping my friends out, and now I'm back to it. So it is lunchtime, it is a Thursday, and I just completed my first offer. There is a $2 peak pay happening right now. So the offer that I got was for $10.50, going I think like 4 point something miles, and I just completed it, and the total was $11.25. So that was an awesome way to begin this lunch shift. Base pay down here $2.75, peak pay of $2, and the customer tip was $6.50, which was very generous. So I thank you, Jillian, who I just dropped the order off to. I have all three apps on. I can do GrubHub down here again because this is the market that I signed up in and was accepted in. So GrubHub has been on for about 30 minutes now and not one order has come through. Just sitting here waiting for GrubHub orders. Uber Eats has been on, quiet as well. So we're gonna sit in this area. It's a little further south than the U of I campus area, so we will see. There's a lot of businesses around here though. I just delivered to a hair salon, so we'll see if anything else comes through, but I'm hopeful with how the day started with that great first order. On second thought, it's been about 6 minutes now and all three apps are on and not one offer has come through. I'm pretty far away from any hotspot or active restaurants, so maybe none of the restaurants down here use the app, so I may need to actually go ahead and drive back, because within that area there are 5 hotspots apparently. I know that doesn't mean much, but I may actually be in an area where none of the restaurants use these platforms, as I know that's the case for, there's a town a bit northwest of here that has quite a few restaurants, but none of them use the apps, because I went on the Uber Eats customer app, the DoorDash customer app, and you have to order from the Champaign-Urbana area to go deliver to Mahomet or Savoy, which I think that's where I am now. So I'm gonna go ahead and drive back. On our drive back to civilization here, I wanted to share I'm filming this on November 11th, so we have some catching up to do. The first week of November definitely has a few noteworthy occasions to mention, so let's get into it. Going back 509 years to November 1st, 1512, this is when Michelangelo's paintings on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican, Italy, were first shown. He started the work in 1508. November 1st and 2nd were really big days in the magazine world, as the first issue of Harper's Bazaar was published in 1867 on November 2nd, being America's first fashion-oriented magazine. Fast forward 78 years, the first issue of Ebony magazine was published by John H. Johnson on November 1st, 1945, and 6 years later, he founded Jet magazine in 1951. Lastly, during the first week of November in 1968, the Motion Picture Association of America established a system of movie ratings for parents to use as a guide to determine if the content was appropriate for children and teenagers. This replaced Hays Production Code, which was used from the 1930s to the mid-1960s. New ratings were G, M, R, and X. Of course, there have been many modifications since, including PG, PG-13, NC-17, and so on. Okay, so it has been probably about 30 minutes. Nothing on GrubHub has come in. One order on DoorDash came in. I took a screenshot of it. It was like $6 for a little over 2 miles, but again, we're on a $2 peak pay. So really that order was about $4. It was at Applebee's. I've never picked up at an Applebee's before, but I hear from a lot of other gig workers that Applebee's can be kind of slow and not the greatest experience. So about 2 minutes after declining that, I did get a Starbucks offer. I got a Starbucks offer for over $7 going less than 2 miles, which is awesome. And the Starbucks is right in the same parking lot as I am, so I'm actually going to walk there to stretch my legs and hopefully give them a little time to finish the order. And yeah, $7 for less than 2 miles, that's what I like. While we walk to Starbucks, I want to share with you that it was on November 2nd, 1983, that President Ronald Reagan signed Martin Luther King's holiday into law. The campaign for a federal holiday in King's honor began soon after his assassination in 1968, so clearly it took quite some time. Despite being signed into law in 1983, his day was not observed until 3 years later in 1986. Unfortunately, some states resisted observing the holiday, and it wasn't until the year 2000 that all 50 states officially observed this day. Speaking on Black history, another important day was November 3rd, 1868, when John Willis Menard became the first black man ever elected to the United States House of Representatives. Unfortunately, his opponent, Caleb Hunt, challenged Menard's right to be seated. Though he had 64% of the votes, the House deemed neither candidate qualified and the seat remained empty. 2 years later, Joseph Rainey of South Carolina won the election to become the first black man officially seated in the House on December 12, 1870. All right, my Starbucks order was all set to go, so as we walk back to the car, I will share that it was on November 3rd, 1956, The Wizard of Oz was shown on television for the first time on CBS. It is now recognized as the most watched film in television history. Color TVs were still not very common back then, so the scene where the film bursts into Technicolor was not as impactful as it was in the theaters. Fun fact about this scene is that it was actually Judy Garland's body double who was dressed in a sepia tone dress in the sepia tone house. Once the door was opened, it was Judy Garland who walked out in her blue dress to make it one seamless scene. On our way to drop off the Starbucks order, please take a moment to appreciate how beautiful these trees are looking on this lovely fall day. Anyway, November 3rd, 1957, was a historic day for both Soviet Russia and the world. It was on this day that the first spacecraft carrying a live passenger was successfully launched into space to orbit the Earth. This passenger, though, was a dog named Laika. The story of Laika in space is a bit upsetting, so I will leave the link in the description if you'd like to read that story for yourself. All right, for any of you sports fans out there, I do have a bit of trivia for you. On November 5th, 1959, the American Football League was officially announced with 8 teams. Any guesses on what those 8 teams were? I'll give you a minute to think about it. All right, the 8 teams were the New York Titans, Boston Patriots, Buffalo Bills, Houston Oilers, Los Angeles Chargers, Denver Broncos, Oakland Raiders, and Dallas Texans. The AFL operated for 10 seasons from 1960 to 1970 until it merged with the NFL. Well, it was time for me to come home and eat my lunch. I Made myself a salad here, so I'm gonna go eat that. You know, to make $18.44 in an hour isn't the absolute worst. I've certainly had slower hours than that. So, you know, the one order on DoorDash, one on Uber Eats. Nothing at all came through on GrubHub. Only the one came through on Uber Eats, which I ended up taking. And DoorDash was sending a few that just were not worth it, especially with $2 Peak Pay. You know, some of them were $5 or $6 payouts, meaning that there was no tip, or just super, super low payout. So, you know, it worked out in the end where I declined that one DoorDash and then the good Uber Eats order came in. I will have my final numbers with my miles driven, how much gas it took, to see what our true earnings for 1 hour was. So as always, if you guys made it this far in the video, I thank you so much for watching. Hope you all are enjoying your November so far, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.